everybody, today's going to be a little bit of a different video. I thought I would go into a little bit of detail about my personal roleplay experiences. Now, I've been a part of roleplay for about 5 or 6 years now, but I also have loved this ever since I was a little kid. I've loved this, I would say, since like 2013, 2014, and I just, fell in love with this aspect. It's just something that I always, wanted to try out. And, I've also been a part of several communities in the past, not to be at least maybe 4 or 5, maybe a little bit more. Don't exactly know the number, but, been in quite a few. And, I have, learned from experience, kind of what to look for in a community as well as kind of what to avoid. So, first thing that I would like to, talk about, the things to kind of avoid here, first off, is and unfortunately, this is a subject that, you just can't avoid. It's something that's going to come up in every community, unless you've been a part of a community that, has never heard of this other community, which I have not, unfortunately. But that is the subject of Department of Justice roleplay, or DOJ. Now, they're kind of one of the more major roleplay communities, and it gets spread around a lot, mainly the natives, especially what's going on right now. But I'm not going to get in detail about that because, that's something that I feel I want to discuss right now, and, there's not enough detail or evidence for me as it stands right now to even discuss what's going on with that. But anyways, so some communities have very well, managed to handle this. Say communities just don't care. They will, like for example, Oceanside Roleplay, we did have a rule that states, no members from DOJ can be a part of Oceanside Roleplay, and no members of Oceanside Roleplay can be a part of DOJ. That was kind of the only dual claiming rule that we had. You can go with any other community as long as it was not on the blacklist, which DOJ was the only one. So, not really a problem there. I'll get a little bit more about, dual claiming in here just a minute. But, you know, as I said, some communities just cannot handle this very well. Some communities just have to have a vengeful, whether it's revenge, hatred, I don't know. It just something that, honestly really confused me. And, something that I've learned just to avoid outright. Um, Go along with, my personal experience and a little bit of a story time here. So, one time I was in patrol. Actually, I don't even think this was patrol. I believe this was in ACDC. Now known as Astro Gaming, under different membership or ownership right now. But it was something that just got downright ridiculous at some points. So one time I honestly, I may have been on patrol. I may have been just hanging out in the chat, which was kind of common in that community. You had a lot of members that would just hang out in the general chat, talk to each other and stuff like that. And one time I get pulled by the administration, and as you guys know, or may not know this, but my first name that I ever had was Slash Gaming 324, which is, of course, I didn't base it off of Polecat, but, it's something that I just, randomly came up with. I don't know why. Just something that happened. Um, and I get pulled and I'm asked to remove the 324 because it was Representative Polecat. Now, it's like, does this really matter? It just didn't make any sense to me. So I did it anyways, even though, it's something that, I really did not want to do. But, it just didn't make any sense to me. And leading on to that, so one night, so in ACDC, I was in general chat as well. And I hopped in there. There was a good, group size in there. Had to be at least, I would say, maybe 10 people around there. And first thing that I join in is I hear a lot of talk about DOJ. Right, there's no admin around, so there's nobody really controlling this. And when I got in there, there was like a member that was on Pocats and you know YouTube, Discord, or whatever, and they were having a personal interview at the time, and they were just talking about all this negativity and stuff like that. It's like, do you guys have anything better else to do? It's like you formed a community, just do your own thing, don't, discuss anybody else's community, and just let it go. And, they just couldn't. And, just something that never made any sense to me. So that is, the number one thing that I try to avoid as much as possible, As I said in Oceanside Roleplay, we do have a role we did. It has been removed. But, it never got brought up again. We don't base the community off of, DOJ or anybody else to be exact. We just do our own thing. And that's exactly how I like it. You know, and moving on to, the second thing that I would avoid would be a dual claiming policy. That is the most stupidest thing that I've ever come across. People do not own you. This is just a video game. I don't understand why, people think that they can own people like that, to prevent anybody from joining a community or a different community while, being in, your community. It just didn't make any sense to me. So, another story to lead on to this here. So this was an Aspect Gaming roleplay, and something that I joined. This had to be a couple years ago, and I just it wasn't a community for me. I just didn't feel at home. There's a lot of rules that didn't make any sense to me, and I'll get a little bit more detail about that. But so I was just observing Discord and stuff like that. And in Astro Game Roleplay, they did have a no dual claiming policy. You couldn't join any other communities or, being a part of Astro Game Roleplay. And so one day, I'm in Discord just catching up on, any announcements or stuff like that. And, I noticed a guy that asked in the questions for staff or whatever it was called during that time. And he asked, if he was able to roleplay with his friends. This was a closed 5M server. And it was law enforcement, but it was not open to the public. It was just his friends. And they denied him of doing that. They denied him of being able to play with his friends because it was law enforcement and it was on 5M. And something that I honestly did not agree with. I find this to be very much, just evasion of privacy altogether. They had the ability to see, if you were on any other 5M server that you were not supposed to be in. And that's how they would figure out, and that's where they would remove you or ban you or whatever. Which, like I said, I just find that to be a evasion of privacy. I do not agree with that. This didn't make any sense to me. Why this is allowed in the first place, I really don't know. But, apparently this is a public thing, that anybody can access. But, like I said, I really don't know. But, just something that I would avoid altogether is a dual claim policy. Just simple as that. Avoid it, As I said, this is a video game. Now, moving on to, another thing that I would avoid, and kind of, what I look for as well, is the rules. Make sure that it actually makes sense, and, make sure that it's enforced properly. Nobody's getting a different punishment. Everybody is, expected to, receive the same punishment if they are to break the rules. And, another thing that I would kind of lean onto that is, good administration, good staff that, keeps track of all of this. They don't abuse their power. There's no corruption here. They take everything really seriously. And, that's something that, I would really, like I said, keep an eye on that, because, so much can happen in this, abuse of power. Everybody gets power hungry. It just, like I said, something to keep an eye out for. Um, Another thing to, look out for, this is kind of, not negative, but, just something that, I would look for in a community. Make sure that it's actually active. Make sure there is a decent amount of people in patrol, every day. Make sure that, it's just an active community that is growing and, developing together. It's just something that, you know, I would keep an eye on for as well. Um, as well as, the members there. You know, are members, being treated equally? You know, would also lead to another thing that would raise a really big red flag for me is, you know, members that are, joining the community and are immediately getting a higher rank, especially if it's something that you may have deserved or, you've been waiting in a line, for something that, you've been working really hard for. And, somebody just randomly joins the community and just steps right above you, and, gets that rank that maybe you have wanted. You know, my biggest thing with that is just to make sure that, you know, there's no, picking favorites there. You are, you know, hard work is, appreciated and looked out for, and, it's just something that, I would look out for. Now, kind of moving on to, my ultimate opinion on roleplay. Well, there's another thing that I did forget to mention, and this would kind of move on with the rules and stuff like that. Don't join a community that has, a certain, has like a ridiculous, time that you have to meet for like patrol and stuff like that. Do not do that, especially, if they try to make it, like it's your life. It is not your life, at least for me anyways, personally, I have a life outside of roleplay, I have to, go to work, I have bills and stuff like that, it's just something that, to just keep an eye out for and make sure, your communities are not trying to control you. That's basically all this really is. In my opinion, so far, and the role play in general, I have really enjoyed it. Now, unfortunately, I do not have enough time as I used to, to be able to, you know, patrol. It's something that I kind of have, been taking breaks in between, and also just trying to find the time to do it. I do work a night shift. Unfortunately, that's kind of when patrols, especially in Oceanside roleplay, is happening. It's just so hard to, get in there and do a patrol. And even on weekends, I'm just, just relaxing from work, getting the sleep that I want or need. And also being able to hang out with friends, my significant other, stuff like that. There's just so much going on right now. But, I hoping to get back into role play here pretty soon. But I just wanted to, give you guys my opinion on role play. My experiences, so you guys have a sort of an idea what to look for. I think I have pretty much covered everything here. I do appreciate you guys stopping by here, and I will see you guys next time. Boy.